Stay tuned for another episode of the Coming Soon podcast with Spider.
Hello, everybody. Spidey here once again. Coming Soon podcast coming to you from San Antonio, Texas with my guest, Adam Newman. My man, how are you, bro?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me.
Other than cold, because you have a beanie on and a jacket, bro. So how cold is it where you're at right now? Let me ask you. You're in New Hampshire, by the way, right?
Yeah, I'm currently in Massachusetts, but yes, I'm from New
Massachusetts,
Hampshire.
yes.
Yeah, I'm up over in Newburyport, so I'm right by the water. Right now, it's not bad out today. I think it's about 30 degrees, which is very good for this time of year. A few days ago, we were at about 0. So,
damn, bro. For us, I'm in Texas, so I mean, for us, like winter's like anything under 70. No, I'm just joking.
Anything over 70 is hot for me. So
yeah, no, you see, and that's the thing. I mean, here, I think we get to like the 105, 115. I mean, it gets freaking hot, bro. And
can't even imagine.
you know, it's just one of those things people keep saying, you know, you get used to it. And I'm like, dude, we don't, bro. I mean, it's freaking hot. But yeah, brother. But of course, I mean, I brought you in for a few reasons, and one of them being this project, the image, of course, behind you, Round the Decay, which is a movie that's going to be released at the end of this month, correct?
Yeah, January 31st, we hit theaters, which is kind of like a very surreal thing to say. But yeah, we're in over 60 screens right now. Every day we're adding more and more and more. So we're very, very excited.
My man, I'm gonna start doing this, especially this year, bro. I mean, I know the indie world has exploded. Hollywood's, I mean, unfortunately, and I say that without due respect, you know, it's on fire right now, man. I mean, they're having a lot of issues, but just in general, when it comes to movies, you know, I mean, they haven't really been putting anything out. I mean, the indie world's, I want to say, is taking over. I mean, that's where the creativity comes in, and you guys are putting in work. You know, I'm excited. You know, I'm here in San Antonio, man. There's been a few films that have jumped on theater, you know, past few years. One coming up next month, and you know, I'm definitely a strong supporter, man. You know, I'm looking forward to it. And it's like I tell people, I have this hashtag that I use, and it's called a hashtag not my horror. You know, and it's just because we're not gonna like everything, but we should definitely go out there and support everything. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what you just said is dead on. I've heard that with Hollywood and not only that, but bigger productions that are even out here.
Oh, yes.
That there's everybody's struggling. And you know, with indies like Terrifier and things like that, doing some damage at the box office, it's actually kind of opened the door for us and hopefully other indies. We just want to be, you know, one small percentage of those movies. But like you said, it's where originality is kind of coming from right now.
No, for sure, man. And of course, I mean, the fact that, like you mentioned earlier, you know, you're going to be in theaters, bro. I mean, that is surreal because, you know, I know here locally, there's a few smaller theater chains that do host, you know, indie films from time to time. And I mean, those are always great. But I mean, the fact that a lot of them are actually hitting the bigger theaters, you know, reaching the masses and just getting that name out, you know, it's definitely exciting. And, you know, I mean, as far as I looked it up, and I know on your Linktree link, it showed some of the theaters. Is everything going to be like on that side of the states? I mean, as far as, I mean, is anything coming up here in Texas? Should we tag somebody? What should we do, bro?
Yeah, so the ones that are currently on the Linktree are just the ones that are currently up on their website. They've been pre-selling their tickets. So we have a lot more that are coming up. Like I said, we got about 60. I cannot say what theater it is yet, but we do have a theater in Texas that will be playing. I don't know how close San Antonio is to Austin. I'm guessing it's not very. Is it close?
Yeah, it's about an hour away.
Okay, so I can tell you that we do have, we will be playing in Austin. I just can't tell you exactly what theater yet because the contract has not officially been signed, but they have agreed to it. And so we're just waiting for those things to come through. So that Linktree is going to get a lot more theaters, like I said. And every day we're picking up more. You know, my days right now are spent on the phone, talking to theaters, trying to get into bigger chains, but also trying to get into indie markets. And what's great is we're starting to reach out on social media and seeing where do people want to see the movie, and you know, using that data to help us decide where we're going to be going.
No, for sure. And that's what I mentioned earlier. I mean, I was kind of joking, but I mean, should we start hashtagging some of these theaters?
Say that again.
I mean, should we like start hashtagging these theaters and just let people, you know, let them know like how many people are interested in watching not just your film, but other films that are coming up?
Yeah, of course. Anything to promote the theaters that we already have or to try to get more theaters in place, you know, absolutely, whatever it takes. I think that's what's great about the indie world right now is that I'm sure that theaters have I don't want to say that they felt bullied, but that they are at the whim of studios. But when it comes to indies, we want to be on the screen so badly that we're willing to work out whatever it takes to get on that screen. And so we are here to help them as much as they are here to help us. And theaters are struggling right now. And so anything that we can do to help that, we're going to do it. So.
No, for sure, man. I'm going to plug in. I don't know if you're on the Facebook page, The Horror Scene. But my boys out there are doing big things, man. They've been plugging in indie films for quite some time now, and I'll definitely be plugging this on there, having them share it, and just do the same thing. Just start running up people, and I think they're like at 125,000. So I mean, it's a good page. But yeah, like I said, I'm 100% behind this. Let me ask you. I mean, of course, when it came to you stepping into the film world, you did mention I think it was digital photos, or what was it that you guys were using back then?
Back when I was shooting, when I first started filming back in like 2007 or 2008, was on mini DV, which were like the little videotapes that you put into the side. It was really, really poor picture quality. But, back then we were just trying to make anything that we possibly could. We're very lucky that digital became big only a few years later to make it a lot easier,
And of course, let me ask you, I mean, those projects that you started off at like in the beginning, I mean, do you still have those?
Some of them. The first film I ever made, which was when I was about 19 years old, was a feature film. It was over 2 hours long. It doesn't exist anymore, and that's for the best. Nobody should ever see it. One of my short films from a long time ago is still on YouTube. I'm talking about, it was well over 10 years ago. It's bad, but it's also, you can see the beginnings of where I was thinking and things like that. Really, I think that if you look on my IMDb, it really kind of starts around 2017 or 2018 is when I started adding a lot of my credits to there. That's kind of when I had my second wave. I used to have a directing partner, and then we kind of split up. He was just he wanted to do things a little bit differently, and so we went our separate ways, and then I kind of reconfigured what I wanted to do. And that's when I really, really started understanding what it would take to get to this level of filmmaking, where I was going to make a push for it to be my full-time job.
No, and let me ask you, because of course, I mean, you mentioned this, one of your earlier projects. I mean, it's still on YouTube. That's one of the things I always tell people, even now. I mean, I hear a lot of people are like, "Oh, I don't want to put it out there. It's not good." Well, I think I lost your mic. You might want to. Oh no, there you go. You're good.
I was just coughing. Sorry.
But I was gonna say, it's a good thing, because you can honestly just look back and be like, okay, you know what, I'm progressing, I'm getting better. I mean, this is what it was, but I mean, experience. I mean, gotta practice.
I think you absolutely should. If you ever make something, it's very difficult, because when you do make something, you're putting yourself out there, which is very scary. And I'll be honest with you. Anytime I've seen a negative review, it hurts. Of course it hurts. However, it does make you a better filmmaker. You want to put your stuff out there. You want to get it so that people are seeing the thing. And ultimately I'm assuming that was most of our goals when we started making movies. It was mine, was that I wanted people to share it. I want to tell stories that everybody can see. Obviously, you want everybody to like them. They're not going to. And so put it out there and see what does and doesn't work. Most of the time I say, everything is taste. However, if there's a big consensus about something, oftentimes it means that there's something potentially not working in your story. Right. And you can always fix it or change it, or at least digest it for your next movie. We're never going to make a masterpiece. And if we do, we're only going to evolve from that. So the goal is to constantly be making stuff, constantly progressing, and hopefully you just keep doing that until you die.
No. Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, when it comes to film, I've been jumping on a few indie films myself. And for me personally, I mean, I'm enjoying it. I'm having fun. I'm helping out when it comes to the smaller productions, or the indie productions, should I say. But at the same time, I'm like, you know what? I want to be on something that's going to be around for a long time. Something that my great grandkids would be able to. I mean, they'll probably be embarrassed as hell, but still, like, hey, that was my great grandpa, or something along those lines. But yeah, man, I mean, a lot of films, on YouTube especially, you've been there for years, man. And it's just one of those things, every once in a while you find something and you're like, damn, who did that, But it's a learning process, man. And let me ask you, when it comes to filmmaking school, did you go to school for this?
I did not. No, I came out of high school very, very arrogant, and I thought it was just going to be easy for me. I wanted to be a playwright, actually, when I was in high school, and then I kind of shifted to film right after. And I kind of had this idea that no, I already know better than everybody else, and I was very wrong. I got humbled very quickly, and you start to learn that, yeah, though I don't, I kind of wish I had gone. I was able to kind of carve my own path out, and I think that the best school you can have for filmmaking, especially, is making stuff, just getting out there and trying stuff, and then watching stuff. That's the most important stuff. If you're not obsessed with watching stories, then I don't know why you would do this. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And I used to watch, I watched tons of movies as a kid, and I watch tons of movies now. I consider it research whenever I sit down. I'm working whenever I'm watching a movie. So yeah, I skipped out on the schooling. I'm not saying it's the right choice for everybody. But I got my schooling from, making a terrible feature and then making a bunch of terrible shorts. And that was kind of my learning process. And, we're making better stuff now, but I'm still in film school, so to speak.
Yeah. No, you see, and I was just talking about that yesterday with a local actor here, and it's the same thing for me. I mean, I'm not that I'm looking to make, movies, but I am definitely interested in filming. I'm interested in, learning everything from the ground up. I mean, I'm learning, they put me out there and they're like, hey, hold this or do this, what they're filming, they're shooting. I've been picking up little tidbits of just, things that I see them doing. And I'm like, dude, it's brilliant. It's just learning process, man. And, the best thing is I don't have to pay for it, right? I mean, I put in my hours, after filming, but, when it comes to school, I wouldn't be able to do that. I've always told people I'm more of a hands-on, like you got to literally point and be like, push this, push, and that's the only way I learn, man. I mean, I wish I could learn off the internet. I wish I could learn off a book or off my phone, for that matter, but it's just, it's not the way I'm programmed. So,
I'm kind of in the same boat. I think I've always been kind of more of a doer when it comes to that. And I just like learning by trying, though I did learn a lot from YouTube, just talking about YouTube. It was amazing when I really decided I was going to push hard on this. I started studying for probably about 1.5 years of just watching videos constantly, both about like composition and lighting and framing and all that type of stuff, but also about what a camera means and what moving a camera means and what keeping a camera still means and all of those type of things, and started watching my movies, with the sound off, the movies that I used to love with the sound off, seeing how a camera moves and stuff like that, because it is a language. Yeah. I think that's another way of learning. So whatever path you want to take, take it. I think the thing is, if you want to make them, you have to make them, though. Just don't talk about making them, go out and make them.
No, you see, and that's actually pretty interesting, man. I mean, the fact that I've never thought about doing that. I mean, I've done other things when it comes to watching films where I'll turn the volume off and I'll just read the subtitles, or I always ask myself, like, you know what? I mean, in a movie, like if it's got like 5 kill scenes, and I'm like, okay, you know what? If those kill scenes weren't there, would that movie be good? The storyline, the character build up. I mean, all that good stuff. And for the most part, yeah. I mean, they're there for shock value, and of course, people want to. That's what we're there for. See some horror. But those are the things that I kind of look at. But the other day. And I didn't do it on purpose, but I was at work, so I couldn't put the volume up, and I didn't have my headset. So I was reading the subtitles while I'm watching the movie, and it was that good, man. Like, it was that good to where I was like, wow, okay, you know what? I got to watch this with the volume on now.
Sure.
So, we'll get back to that soon, hopefully. But yeah, man. But of course, this project, I mean, of course, it's going to be, how long did you guys film this? Let me ask you.
It took us about 18 days, was the first shoot. And then we came back for another 3 of reshoots / pickups, and then we did 2 days of just ADR recording that was for the monster's voice. And so overall, in total, it was about 23 days. That first 18 of principal was really where we had our big crew, and then those 3 days afterwards, we brought it to a smaller crew, just because shooting a monster movie in 18 days it's just not doable, especially with all the effects, with all the actual getting of the costume on. I have a lot of actors. We have a couple locations. It really ends up slowing down the process. I'm always a little bit ambitious when it comes to our shoot dates, mainly because every day costs so much money. It's just so much money. And so you just, anytime you waste half a day or lose half a day or anything like that, you're lighting money on fire. So we tried to get it done in 18 days. We weren't quite able to. But we're happy that we were able to get it in 21 days. I still got my fingers crossed that one day I'm going to make a movie that's, get 40 days or 45 days, because it would be great to really get everything you want. Yeah. But I'm still really proud of what we got with the days that we had.
No, and I was going to say too, I mean, that's always the struggle, I guess, when it comes to filmmakers, because it's like, okay, who's off this weekend? Who can, meet up Tuesday night, or who can, and for myself, I mean, luckily I'm employed to where my boss lets me leave early if I have to, so that's one of those cool perks. But it's just, for the most part, a lot of people can't, the weekends, family, they got some stuff going on. I mean, work, it's always a struggle.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring that up. I mean, like, that's how we used to run a lot of our sets, was just kind of like trying to get weekends and, running long weekends and things like that. Eventually, as where we're kind of at now, we only, like, I will only shoot days in a row. Like, our schedule was, I think it was 5 days on, 6 days on, or maybe it was six with a day off in between. And so, I mean, everybody that we hire in terms of our crew, that's what they do full time.
Okay.
Everybody, when it comes to our cast, it's either for the most part, it's what they're trying to do professionally. They might be doing something else to get supplemental income. However, when a movie comes along, they take the time off. We're a SAG production as well. And so we have to go by all of the guidelines that the union sets out and things like that. So we've made sure now, because I've had so many times in the past where we've been filming something and, we do 4 days on the weekend or 3 days on the weekend, and then all of a sudden an actor drops out and you have to rewrite the movie.
Oh.
We don't really do that anymore. We're very lucky. This is what I do full time. I get a salary to make movies, and it's unreal. It really is. I know that the ground's going to fall out from under me at some point, but it's really cool that we get to do that. But I also have to respect all those people's time and know that they're often on other projects right afterwards. So you find out what that schedule is going to be. We said 18 days. We're idiots for saying it. But once we set those 18 days aside, we have them for those 18 days. You know what I mean? Which is a good feeling. And then we just try to make it as loose and laid back and fun as we can on set.
No, man, that's amazing. The 18 days, dude, that's actually pretty damn good. Now, let me ask you, I mean, when it comes to the cast, because of course you've got the 3 stars of the film, one being Roger Clark. Tell us a little bit about the guy.
Yeah, so Roger Clark is he's probably listed as number one. He's not the biggest, he's not the lead of the movie, but he's right in one of the more important scenes. And Roger Clark is, for anybody who plays video games, he's the voice of Arthur Morgan in Red Dead Redemption 2, which is really, really cool. I'm a big video game player. It was funny because our DP on set, who's worked with tons of name actors, and he got nervous around Roger, and I was like, "Why are you nervous around Roger? You've been around all these other people." And he said, "Well, I've played Red Dead Redemption 2 for 200 hours, so I've been hanging out with him for 200 hours. That's like 100 movies." And so I can tell you right now, Roger, one, he's incredibly talented. He's incredible, and two, he's incredibly humble for somebody that's in one of the biggest video games in the history of video games. It's one of the top 10 sellers of all time. People are in love with this guy, but I can tell you, he is so humble, so down to earth, so easy to work with, and almost shy. It's kind of adorable. We were all intimidated when he showed up. He showed up and he just does his job. And he punches the clock. He knows what he's doing. He asks questions. He cares about things. He watched the movie and he liked it, which is the best thing. And so, yeah, he's a dream to work with. And I'm writing something. I'm writing a bunch of things always at once. I'm always going to be writing a part for Roger, and I'll bring him back as long as he can come.
Oh, sweet, man. And I was going to say too, because I'm not big when it comes to gamers. I mean, I'm old school dude, so of course, I got quarters in my pocket just in case I run into an arcade, right?
Sure.
But yeah, man, I had seen that, and I was like, dude, I mean, it's true. I mean, the fact that the guy stays humble and just, he's just like everybody else, just trying to, keep going. I mean,
absolutely.
I'm sure as a full-time actor or as a full-time employee, when it comes to projects, the guy does have those times where you literally have to clock in mentally, be like, okay, what's his business? Let's get to work, knock it out. Absolutely. But man, going on, I mean, of course, we've got Rachel, and I don't want to chop up her last name, bro. Pizzolato.
Right. You nailed it. That's exactly it. Yeah.
Okay, cool, man. Because I think I always apologize when I do my trailers, because I'm like, damn, I'm Texas, bro. Come on, give me a break.
You got it though. Yeah. She's great. She plays the monster in the movie. She's kind of she was on like Mythbusters when she was a kid, and then she kind of blew up from there. She's a model and she's an influencer, and now she's dabbling into acting. I just found her on Instagram because I watch a lot of videos of people doing like crazy flips on trampolines. Damn. And the Instagram algorithm kept feeding me that, and and she was on one of them as like a special guest. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And so I saw her, and then Instagram kept feeding me her. I was like, oh, more? You want more? And I saw her. I'm like, she's really athletic and she's really tall. And those were the two things that I really wanted for the monster. And so I was like, you know what? I'll reach out to her. I do this all the time. I reach out to actors. Oftentimes you just get silence or you get told to screw. And she immediately responded and was like, this sounds so cool. It's really great that she recently said that it was because it's against type. You know, she's very tall. She's very beautiful. She's a model. However, we were like, hey, get in a monster suit and be the monster for our movie. And she was really into it. She was really game. I know it's not easy because sometimes it's really cold. Sometimes it's really, really warm. The suit was not easy to walk in. However, she just kind of knocked it out of the park, and she's really, really easy to work with. And yeah, she's just a relentless worker.
No, for sure, man. I was gonna put this up there. I got a question. It's actually our local guy here in San Antonio, man. It's insane game. Couldn't believe it was better than the first. What's a game series you're passionate about, man?
Yeah, I love the question. Hell yeah. Well, I hope I don't disappoint you with this answer. I'm obsessed with The Last of Us. And by that, I mean, really, The Last of Us Part 2. It's one of my favorite games of all time. It is my favorite game of all time because I think it's just a really complex game that asks a lot of questions of you. I'm a big fan of that. I'm really, really excited for Citizen Sleeper 2 because I really love Citizen Sleeper. I love Disco Elysium. I love all of the Telltale games. I'm really, really into really story-centric games. Most of the time I like playing by myself. I do like party games every now and then. I love a little bit of Mario Party or Overcooked or something like that. Oh, yeah. And then obviously horror games too. You know, I really love Until Dawn, which is dripping all over around the Decay. And I love The Quarry and games like that. So I love a lot of horror games, but I really, really love a lot of story-based games that really get you invested in character and use the medium of video games, which you can do so much different things with to its advantage, where you have to play as characters so you really get inside their head, and then you can then make very difficult decisions for an audience member to have to make. And I really love that.
No, man. And actually, you mentioned Until Dawn. I mean, the game itself, turned into a movie, man. It's actually coming out as well. So that's.
I watched the trailer today. I was very excited about it. Yeah.
And I was like, holy crap! Like, I was like, man, I was mind blown. But yeah, that's pretty cool. And of course, man. I mean, when it comes to the actors, like you mentioned, I mean, had you ever worked with any of them before this project? Yeah,
certainly the ones that are, So the lead of the movie her name is Victoria Mirror. She's been in, let's see, all of my movies for the past 8 years. So she's great. I use her. I cast her in almost everything. I write parts for her. Jamie Dufault is in the movie as well. He plays he's one of the leads as well. Jamie is like one of the best actors in the world. He's so good. He just isn't in more stuff because he keeps to himself and he's not really pushing hard for auditions, but he's incredible. His partner, this girl named McKenna, she's also in the movie. I use her in a bunch of stuff now. My goal is always to bring in about 50% new actors, but to bring about 50% back. I really want to have that core that we have. And I do know that if, hey, we don't have the right project for somebody that I worked with in the past, this time, the next movie will come back around and we'll get you on that one too. Right. Our goal is to build a huge network of actors. Speaking to, the people in Texas, if you want to meet our movies, we definitely want you as well. We want people to be excited about making movies and things like that. So, 50% of these people, or probably was 30%, just because we grabbed a couple, names around. Right. But I would work with everybody all over again,
Nice, man. Now let me ask you, of course, when those actors or, people that you've worked with before. Now, when it comes to auditions, do you host those?
These days, oftentimes I offer roles. I will audition for particular parts, but when it comes to there's a character named Monroe in this, and Damien Maffei plays him. He's from Strangers Pray at Night and things like that. And I reached out to him, and it was like, "Here's your role. I'd like you to play this." Oftentimes, I'll say, "Hey," to one of my actors. I'll be like, "I've been thinking about you for this role. Would you read it?" And most of the time, hopefully, most of the time they're interested because they do come and work for it. I will do readings every now and then, but if I do readings nowadays, it's almost exclusively online because, like we mentioned, I'm in New Hampshire. This is not the biggest hotbed in the history of the world for for acting talent, though we have a lot of talented actors, but you know, if you want to get people from LA, you want to get people from New York, stuff like that, you got to be hosting a lot of this stuff online. And so I like to do video auditions when that happens. But more importantly is getting, like, seeing them in something and kind of seeing if I think that they would be able to say the words that, you know, my characters say, or would be do the things that my characters would be able to do, and then having a conversation with them about the movie and seeing if they understand what it's all about, what the character's all about. And if that's the case, then oftentimes it's like, here's the thing, and we'll find the character together, you know?
Nice, bro. And of course, I mean, I've heard that before, especially, you know, directors here in San Antonio, you know, or local, you know, here in Texas. I mean, when they're, they've worked with somebody and they're like, you know what, I had this character, man. I said, you know, I'm kind of, not so much after the actor, but I mean, as far as personality, what they bring, you know, and they kind of just go ahead and mold it, and they're like, hey, man, this is perfect for you if you're interested, and they just, you know, they jump in and knock it out the ballpark, man.
Absolutely.
Now, let me ask you, I mean, you did mention, I mean, actors as far as feature films. So if Roundup Decay's having a sequel, I'm in, bro. Put me in.
I will tell you right now that I do have notes for the sequel in case things do go well. So we're really hoping that people do show up to the theaters when it comes out. We know that, you know, we're a smaller movie, so it's going to be tough to get all the butts in the seats, but we're pushing hard. And then the hope is that if you like it, if you go out and you see the movie and you talk about it, then what happens, it starts to catch on. This is what happened with movies like Terrifier. Terrifier 1 had that happen, and then Terrifier 2 became bigger, and Terrifier 3 became even bigger than that. You know, it's a $2 million movie that made $100 million at the box office. And it's because of those people that were really invested in that particular story. So I do have notes. It would be a little bit bigger budget than what we have right now. But, you know, if things go well, then, you know, I'll give you a call. How's that?
No, for sure, man. And of course, I mean, like we mentioned earlier, you know, when it comes to indie films making it to the theater, I mean, that's something that we all should be getting behind. You know, I have this thing where, I mean, I do cover combat sports, and I always tell these fighters, like, you know what, if you're not fighting on that card, it's local, like, go support it, man. You know, like, if we don't support it, who you know, how can we expect other people to support it? You know, it just makes sense, you know. But I know a few you know, screenings here in San Antonio, man. I mean, there's actually, it's been a good thing, man, because I get there and there's like directors from, you know, just helping out. You know, they've worked together, known each other or whatever, but they show up and I'm like, dude, that's freaking, like, that's gold. That's like the way it should be, you know?
It's so true. And, you know, the thing that I hate hearing is I hate when people say there's no originality left in Hollywood or in storytelling. And it's like, yes, there is. They're in indies. You need to watch them. And if you do go out and watch indies, I promise you, the studio system will take note, because you have to speak with your dollar. And so if you pay to go and see these movies, you go and watch these movies and you scream, this is what I want, they have to listen. They are trying to create things for consumers because they want money. Yeah. But what you want are good stories. And so go find good stories. And sometimes that means that you have to wade through some stuff that maybe isn't that great. However, this is where originality is happening. We don't have the luxury of being able to use IP, of using any of this stuff. We have to create stuff on our own, or we have to use stuff from the public domain. And that's the only way you can really do anything in the indie market, which means that we're putting ourselves in a creative box. But that's a good thing. That's when you come up with great creative solutions. And I think some of the most interesting storytelling is coming from indies right now. And the best way to support that is simply watching them.
Yes, I agree. And I was going to say too, man, because when it comes to my reviews, you know, I jump on YouTube and TikTok and I always throw them out there, but I kind of, I don't want to say I go different when it's an indie film, but you know, I always tell people, you know, you got to use your creativity, man, because of course the budget's low, but I mean, the fact that you know, you can be in the room and be like, okay, I'm going to use that light, that poster, that, you know, mannequin, and, you know, we're going to make a film. And right. You know, the fact that they can get those creative juices going and actually make something happen, I mean, that's what people need to look at. You know, they're like, damn, okay, you know what? I mean, you know, not the $1 million budgets, you know, but I mean, the fact that you guys use what you have, you know, when it comes to location, I mean, of course, a lot of times it's always, you know, someone's business, somebody's, you know, house, you know, property.
What you just said, though, is so dead. I write, you know, I have a lot of ideas. I have thousands. I'm not running out, that's for sure. But most of the time I write with what I have. So, you know, you see Round the Decay. When you see Round the Decay, you'll see that we have a big ski lodge setting, and we have an arcade, and we have an ice arena. Why is that? Because my company owns owns an arcade, and my company owned the hotel that we were staying at and filming at. I wrote this entire movie around that idea, and I wrote it in the off season because I was working in a place called Waterville Valley, which has an off season of April and May where it is so quiet. So our lodging and the place where we shot some of the movie is all the same place. So guess what? We just saved ourselves $50,000 of lodging for all of our actors and all of our crew, and everybody got their own rooms, and we all ate breakfast together, and it was catered by our restaurant there. So like, these are the things that we do. I wrote this movie around that. And then really at the end of the day, it becomes, okay, well, what's the locations we don't have? And it was the cave. And luckily, I'm very good at pre-production. I'm pretty good in production. I'm awful in post-production. And so in pre-production, I just reach out. I'm very good at reaching out to people and then talking to them and then meeting with them, talking about movies. I'm very passionate, as you can probably tell. And then I just say, hey, we don't have a ton of money, but we'd love to use your location. It'll be in a movie. It's going to look really cool. And then we got lucky with this cave, and that happened. So you write around those things so that hopefully your budget isn't being eaten up by that, so that your budget can go to the actors, can go to the makeup, can go to the effects, all that type of stuff. The goal is to get every dollar you can on the screen. And everything else is where you try to find the cuts and the holes and the things like that. And that's why a lot of us end up wearing more hats than we should be. But again, it's creative problem solving, which is all that filmmaking and storytelling ends up being.
No, that's true. I mean, it's something that you pen on paper, you're writing down, and of course you turn it into film. It's like I said, I mean, I've been jumping on projects here locally, and it's been a lot of hands-on. I mean, not that I'm learning a lot, but I mean, I am picking up a lot of traits, and it's something that I want to keep doing. I have this thing though, and I don't know if some of the directors know. I know I've told a few, but every time I jump in a project or I help out, like I always grab a movie prop. Sure. So I collect them. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna put them in boxes, and that's just gonna be my like, yeah, I was there. This is what they use, or this is what was there, and it's just my little collecting perk that I'm doing. But I'm one of those guys, man. It's just who knows what'll come of the films? Who knows? I mean, you never know.
Yeah, and I mean, ultimately, it's still whether or not the movies go anywhere, which most of them aren't. Like, that's the tough thing. They're so hard to get seen. However, you have that little memento from that little movie. And I also, what you just said, I love little details in movies, and I love just like simple things. I love like made up colleges and made up restaurants and things like that. So I do the same thing where I try to collect those things, and also I try to put those into the movie as well. The town in the movie is made up. It's called Newport's Valley. And one of the coolest things that we got to do is, my sister's very good at graphic design. And so we just designed a town map that would be handed out as like at tourist places or at like lodges in this town. And we got to name all of the restaurants in town. And we got to name all of the little sections of town. I love those type of things. So I'm all in.
Man, what did you name them after?
What did I name them after?
Yeah.
Oftentimes it'll be like references to, first is always the producers. So the people that I work with, I always give them some name somewhere. We'll name things after like our old pets. We do things like that. References to other movies, of course. Yeah. That's always big. I try to sneak those in, especially movies that are really inspiring or inspired this particular movie. There's a couple ongoing jokes that we have in every movie. That's more about like character names. We have, I always have my 3 producers always show up a little bit in the movie. And one of them is always, we can swear on here, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, Punk-Ass 2. No matter what, his character name is always Punk-Ass 2 in some fashion. This time it's Colonial Punk-Ass 2. Even if there's no Punk-Ass 1, he is Punk-Ass 2. And then and then my buddy who's in the movie, he plays a character named Muffin, which is his character's nickname. But in most of our movies, his character's name is some form of James Ford. And then he either has a nickname or goes by Jim or Jimmy or Jimbo or anything like that. These are just like little things that we love to tuck in there. And then one of the cool things was, when it was designing that arcade scene, you start to add, you can create little items. We had novelty bats called the Home Run Hero that we created as a prop and then used as a prop, a couple times throughout the movie. So yeah, those things are so much fun to do. It colors in the world, it makes it feel like it's a real place.
You know what? And I mean, I've seen that before. I mean, when it comes to indie films, people, creating their own movie shop, creating something and doing the whole thing, the whole kit and shebang, where they're doing the cases, the logos, and I think that's pretty brilliant, man. And it's funny that you say, when it comes to the film, the one of the directors always using that same name because I had a local director message me and give me credit for a short that we jumped on the other day, and I told him, and I said, hey, look, like this year, I want to start going. I want to start using this name as much as I can, for the small projects. And so I gave it to him, and he was like, "Oh yeah, no problem, man." So he put it under that name, and it's actually Andrade, and it's a family name. But
Sure.
I was just like, man, I want to keep it alive. I want to keep it out there. And I mean, if I get that opportunity to name that character Andrade at every project, then I'll be good.
That's so, yeah, it's so cool because like you just said, what it does is one, it's a family name, which means that you're adding color and flavor to to a world that doesn't actually exist. That's what's, whatever's on screen it's not real. It's fabricated. We're lying the best that we can to tell a truth. And so the best way to do that is to put as much truth into it as you possibly can. So sneaking in little things like that, I think it just humanizes everything. And I do believe, I don't think it's on a conscious level. I think it's on an unconscious level that an audience absorbs that. And that's what makes a world feel realer or fuller or anything like that, which just absorbs them more in the story, which is the name of the game, right? It's all about getting the person in and making them give a damn about what's happening on screen.
No, I mean, for sure. I agree 100%, man. Now, behind you, of course, like we mentioned, the poster, bro. Tell us when it came to the name. I mean, how did you come up with the name for the film?
Sure. So there is a poem. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called Ozymandias. It's a famous poem by Shelley. It's very, very short, and it's I am Ozymandias, King of Kings. This is actually probably the most famous episode of Breaking Bad. It's called Ozymandias, based off of this poem, and it's about this fallen. It's about the statue of this king who thought he was going to stand the test of time, and the statue is crumbled, and there's dust surrounding it, and it talks about round the decay, and it's talking about how we believe that our greatness will last, and in time it crumbles and is buried. And so I love the poem, and really what happened is there's a speech in the movie, which you'll have to check out. But originally, the very first draft of it, I could not figure out what he needed to say. And so all I did was copy and paste the poem, just so that I had something to placehold. And over time, I was like, oh, this is what this character is talking about. And so the original title was, the working title was, That's Just the Off Season. And I eventually told the Round the Decay, I was like, I'm thinking about naming Round the Decay. And one of my producers said, that's the name and you don't get to change it. I love it. And so we've kind of stuck with it. I think it's a pretty sweet name, especially once you see the movie, you kind of understand really what it's about. And then the poster art is by a guy named Sadist Arts. His name is Mark Skoenbeck. He does a ton of hand-drawn, especially horror posters. And the dude rules. Whether or not you like our movie, I hope you do, but ultimately you must like the poster because it's so damn cool. I think it's a really good poster. And I would say if you're making an indie movie, especially if you're making an indie horror movie, save up a little chunk of change just so you can get a really great poster made, and especially if you can get it hand drawn. Because I do think, if I was scrolling on on Tubi or Amazon or anything like that, and I saw that poster pop up, I'm watching that movie. And so, I'm very, very proud of the poster. I'll keep sending posters to Sadist Arts because the guy makes just great, great work.
No, for sure, and I agree, man. I mean, I know, AI stuck his head out, last year, and it's a lot of people have been using it, and I get it. I'm not a big fan of it. I mean, I know it's easier. I mean, when it comes to budget, I know, like you said, save a little extra. I mean, it's just it just means a lot more. Like you said, I mean, it's hand drawn, bro. I mean, you can't get any more personal than that.
I think you can feel it, and I think that's what we were just talking about, coloring in the margins of a story with your little personal details. I think it's the same way when it comes to a hand-drawn thing. You can feel the humanity in it. I know what you're saying about AI. I'm pretty anti-AI if it's being used to completely create something, just because I don't believe all AI does is take assets of things that it has already seen before. it's not able to truly create anything. I mean, I think AI is great when it comes to like cleaning up audio, what it's able to do with that. That's what it should be done for, is to make the processes easier. I don't think it should be being used to create something entirely. It doesn't, it's soulless. It really is. It's a computer program, but help us get the shitty menial jobs done. But don't use it to create art. Find an artist. They will create art.
No, for sure. I know at my work, I think one of the managers used AI to make a song. It was for a Friday, Friday, and it was creepy as hell, dude. Like I was just like, holy shit. Everybody's like, oh, it's pretty cool, and I'm like, dude, it sounded like somebody dying, dude. I mean, it was just really, really odd, but yeah, I've seen that. I've seen the posters. I've seen people, and that's one of the things. I mean, I know there's a lot of fake posters out there, man, and people really, I'm like, dude, like, why don't you put on there like AI? Generate, or you know what I mean, or fake movie or whatever, but it's just people, before you know it, it's like shared like a million times, and it's like people assume it's coming out, it's just weird. But I mean, when it comes to art, I mean, it just makes sense, I mean, keep supporting each other, when it comes to hiring an artist, hiring locals, I mean, people that are around your perimeter, and actors that can make it,
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's so true. And I think it's also, you would be surprised just how many people will do something relatively cheap. If you're an indie artist making an independent film and you want somebody to make a poster, they can make posters typically relatively cheap, and mostly because they want their stuff to get out there. So they'll give it a shot, and they'll do it for, a couple $100 or whatever it ends up being. And then you, like I said, you get something that's a little bit less soulless, and in all likelihood, it will make people want to see the movie more, and therefore you will make your money back.
No, yeah, and plus, there are artworks on the cover, so of course they're going to tell people to buy it or go watch it. I mean, it just makes sense. It's the same thing. I do cover indie films when it comes to Coming Soon podcast. I have a online zine called Working Class Nobody, right? And that one I try to doing a lot more indie film, indie music. I'm sorry, indie music. So my thing is to kind of mesh up like both markets, because indie film, of course, they want their music out there. You guys need a background, need a song.
Oh, sure.
I just figured I'll try to see if I can make that happen even more this year, but we'll see. But it's just plugging in and supporting, I mean, there's a lot of people out there with money making more money. Like, let us make some money, it's like they already got enough, bro.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that's what I loved about the collaborative process. And when I first got into making movies, is that it was just a bunch of people trying to make cool things. And I'm good at some things. I'm good at pre-production, like I said. I'm good at getting a ball rolling. I'm good at getting people excited about making a movie. I'm not good at drawing. I'm one of the worst artists you've ever seen. I can't play any instrument at all. I do not understand music. I just go like, oh, I like that. I can't tell you anything else about it. And so it's so great when you meet somebody and they're so much better at something than you. And especially, I'm very passionate about making films and telling stories. So that's kind of where my expertise is. But when you find someone that has that level of expertise with something else, and then they get to bring that to your project, oh, it's so damn beautiful. And yeah, I think that's what I love about making movies too, is that it's the most collaborative of the art forms. It's bringing in sound, and it's bringing in picture, and it's bringing in acting, and it's bringing all these elements together. And so it's, hey, let's find the best artists individually to come together to make something in a combined fashion.
And let me ask you, these posters, are they available? Can people buy these?
Not yet, but soon. So our website, dreamscapeproductions.com, doesn't have our store up yet, just because we don't have a lot of people working yet. We have 3 people at our company, and we are currently drowning just trying to get the movie ready for the theatrical premiere. I just sent out a bunch of screeners for review, and it's not the finished movie. We're going to have the movie finished right before we send it out. So we're currently trying to get through that and get through this theatrical push. But after that, we're going to do some TLC to the website and make sure that posters, I'm wearing around it. You can't really see it very well right here, but I'm wearing around the Decay beanie. We got a lot of shirts, all those type of things. And eventually we'll also have physical media, our DVDs and things like that. Our Blu-rays, VHS is coming, because it is becoming a bigger and bigger thing.
Oh, yes.
And then our soundtrack, the person who did our score, David Labovich, he put up just such a killer score. And if that guy's still listening, who who loves video games. It's super inspired by Silent Hill 2. And we're going to be pressing that to vinyl and then getting that up on Spotify as well. So very, very soon we'll have all of these things in the store. We're just drowning, like I said, and so we're just trying to get above water. We're almost to the shore. I can see it, and then we'll start doing some TLC there.
No, for sure. I'm going to put this question up, but I was going to say I actually had a local here that was pressing vinyl, and I was trying to get him to start working with indie films to start putting some of the soundtracks on vinyl, because I would want to buy one. I was just like, dude, that would just be something else that they'd be able to sell or people would be able to collect. But yeah, man, our San Antonio nerd is could you give us some advice if we wanted to get into acting, but maybe voice acting to start?
When it comes to voice acting, it's very difficult for me to say because I don't have a lot of experience with it. I've only worked with one voice actor. I've only really worked with the one voice actor. When it comes to acting, though, I would say, first of all, if you're not acting a whole lot, act. Get in front of the camera as much as you possibly can. Take classes. Be terrible at it. That's fine. Be awful to start. That's okay. You get way better, especially early. And what happens is you will really get to see that spike from when you first start to that next level, which is awesome. Seeing progress quickly. It's like your golf swing. It sucks at first. All of a sudden it gets okay. And then after that, you're working at the finer details of it. I would say if you are truly passionate about it, reach out to people. Reach out to me. That's fine. We have an acting form that we have people fill out. We every now and then we'll just post it on our socials. It's very simple. It's it takes you about 5 minutes. It tells you what you are comfortable, what you're not comfortable with, any acting clips. You get to be a little bit funny, tell us about yourself, all that type of stuff, so that we can go through. And when the next movie comes, we can ask to see, hey, are you going to be a fit for a role here? I do like to say, and this is just because of who I am, and I'm kind of annoyingly persistent when it comes to things, and I really I hate people waiting for people to tell me what I can and can't do. It makes me very angry, especially with how films are, where so many films are sit around and wait and we'll talk about making the movie for 5 years and then maybe we'll make it. That kills me. I cannot do it. And so if you're an actor, reach out to people, talk to people, talk to anybody that is a filmmaker, reach out to them, say, hey, I'm always available. That's simple. And if you then are able to get on a set, be nice. Do not complain. Show up and do the job. I can tell you right now, if I have all my actors are very talented, but if they had a C level talent or a D level talent, if they show up and they're an A personality, we will cast them in every movie from here until the end of time, because we like good people more so than we like just good actors. And so just be nice. Work at your craft, study, be humbled, suck at it for a while. That's fine. Learn some of the basic intricacies of it in terms of eye lines and things like that. Understand where a camera is. That becomes a huge part of it too. So I'd say those are kind of the best steps to doing it. But if you're really persistent, annoyingly so, you'll get work. And then voice acting, it's tough to say, but.
No, you see, and that's availability, of course, because one of the things, I always tell people when they ask me, it's the first thing I tell them is just man, you got to show up.
Yep.
And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, if they have a casting, if they have I said, if they need extras, show up. The more they see you, the more they know you're interested. They're going to be like, you know what? Let me talk to this guy, or let me talk to this, yesterday I had my another local actor, should I say here, Stephen Andrews, and he was saying his rule of thumb is always shut up and listen.
Yes.
He's like, man, I'll show up, I'll shut up, and I'll just listen. If they ask for advice or input, he'll drop it. But other than that, he's like, I just asked hey, what am I doing? What character am I bringing? And that's it. Knocking out the ballpark, man. So.
It seems very simple. It almost is. I understand though, there is some terror to it because I can't act. I would never even consider it because there is a fear of making an ass of yourself. Yeah. But if you're able to kind of separate that, we know it's not you. You're trying your best, and we never get angry at actors for trying. And the only time would be if they're being destructive on set, right. Which they're treating the set just treat everybody like they're human beings, and you'll be completely fine. So I think that's really it's a lot like a regular job. You show up, you're faking it the entire time. then you learn to be good at the job, and it takes you some time to, and then eventually you're pretty good. And then your only thing from there is to continue doing good work and then help the next guy. Make sure that the next person gets a hand up. That's what we keep trying to say about what we're doing in the indie industry. You know, it's like we're climbing a ladder. I don't know what level we're at on the rung, but the point is that we're doing it one-handed because we have our other hand down ready to pull somebody up. And so I say, do the same thing. And then latch on to other actors too. If you meet somebody that's really good, learn what they do. You know, I had a good actor, and he was once at a class and his eyes were all over the place when he was talking to someone. And the girl pulled him aside and said, "Hey, look at me when you act. I need to know what to act off of." And that was such a simple lesson. And from there, he learned, oh, I just make eye contact. And it changed the game. You become 1,000% better actor. Watch how you're blinking. That's like it's a simple thing. Don't blink. If you blink, you look weak. If you don't blink, you look strong. Like these are they're very, very small little things. But I think that those are things that you should learn. And then at the same time, hone that craft. And then also don't be a dick.
No, yes, I agree. And you see, and that's one of the things, like all these projects I've been jumping on, like I'm always picking up something from the directors, from the actors, from the people holding the boomstick. Like I'm always watching the craft and I'm learning and I'm thinking, okay, you know what, that looks good. Like if given that opportunity, and I have, you know, when it comes to working behind the scenes, it's like I just do that, you know, do it my way, of course, you know, but it's a learning process, man, because it's just like with everything else, you know, I'm 5'8". If somebody's 6'4", it's like, oh, do it this way. Like I'm like, dude, I don't have to reach. I can't, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of things different that I can't do. So I gotta, you know, blend it and do what I do. I was gonna put on there, I got my boy Alex Stevens, man, Jump Scare podcast, bro. We're actually gonna be heading out tonight to go watch Wolfman. I'm gonna tell him that we're gonna drive. I'm telling him right now we're gonna drive to Austin to go watch that movie, dude. As soon as that contract's signed, let us know. We'll go out there and you know, check it out, dude, for sure.
Hell yeah, I'm really excited, and I hope that you guys do enjoy Wolfman. The reason we actually weren't premiering this week originally, this was our plan for a long time, was to premiere on the 17th, but then we saw Wolfman and we went, oh no. We don't want to do a monster movie up against Wolfman. I've seen that the reviews are kind of mixed, but I'm a big Lee Whannell guy. Obviously, he's the creator of Saw, but he wrote a movie called Cooties. I don't know if you've seen it, but it rules. It's so good. It's like an 80-minute movie with oh my God, Elijah Wood in it, and Rainn Wilson and Alison Pill. It's really, really good. It's really fun. So I hope you enjoy Wolfman. Like I said, I've heard kind of mixed things, but I'm willing to check it out myself. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah. We're going to be out there hanging out and doing our thing. I was going to put this up there because, of course, this is what we've been talking about for the past hour, you know, around the Decay. The website, does that have the link to the locations for the film?
Yeah, it has some of them, that's for sure. It's not as updated as the Linktree currently is.
Right.
But you will see more of the locations that are showing the movie, which is good. Like I said, I think we probably, you know, right now in terms of actual contracts signed and ready to go, we're in over 20. Then we've also had another 28 or something like that have said, yes, they're signing the contract right now. I just can't say their names until they have officially signed that contract. But I can tell you right now, we're playing, you know, the places for sure that we're playing at, you know, are New Hampshire. You know, we have a couple places here. We're playing Massachusetts, but we're also playing Oklahoma, California, Michigan, Florida. There's a couple more in the Wisconsin. There's a few more that are kind of peppered all throughout. We're trying to get into more and more. It is tough. We are fighting a war. We're an indie film. And the hardest thing has obviously been the chains and getting into the chains and saying, hey, we don't have nearly the marketing budget that they want. Some of these chains are giving us a shot. And we really love to hear that. And so we're hoping that, you know, people can see how much effort we've put into this thing, and hopefully they can say, you know what, I will give this thing 2 hours of my life. And if that's, and you don't need to love it, I hope you do. But if you don't love it, that's okay. The point is that you made an effort to watch an indie film, and make sure that if you watch Round the Decay, which I hope you do, that it's not the last indie film you watch for this year. Continue to watch indie films, especially in the theater if you can. And if you can't watch them in the theater, just make sure you're watching them at home. And big thing, if you like indie films, if you like the film, like rate it on all of the stuff, IMDb, Letterboxd, all that stuff. Rate it if you like it. If you don't like it, just shut up. I'm not even talking about my film. I'm talking about indie films in general, because indie films are fighting a war to be seen. And so it's one of those things, like, listen, the Avengers, they don't need your review. They don't care. Everybody's going to go see the movie. for indies, we need as many people to watch the movie as we possibly can in order to climb out. And so if you like something, share the love. If you hate something, it's better to not just be negative, because they're miracles that they exist. It's almost impossible to make even a bad movie. It's very hard to make, and then a mediocre movie is even harder to make, and it's almost impossible to make a movie that's good, just because there are so many factors. It's alchemy. We're putting in little dips and dabs, and if one little thing is off, it throws the whole thing off. Most of the time, it's probably me. And so ultimately, if you love it, talk about it to everybody and say, I love this thing about this movie. Even if you don't love the movie, be like, I love the kills, I love the acting, I love whatever it was. Because that's how we're going to get out of this. And really, we're at a place where very soon, instead of one $100 million movie, we could have $100 million movies. And that means 100 more. That's 99 more artists, 99 more directors, 99 more crews get the opportunity to make something. And the best way to do that is go to the theater, check out indies,
No, for sure, man. I'm gonna plug you into some of the pages that I network with, man, because I mean, like I said, they're real big when it comes to indie film and trying to put your name out there. But bro, I do appreciate you jumping on here. Like I said, we're gonna be going to watch Wolfman tonight. Alex Stevens and my boy Braxton Smith, we're gonna be out there in popcorn, and hopefully they'll pay. I don't know. I'm not getting my wallet at home, but but yeah, man. But I agree. I mean, definitely, for those out there watching this now or later, support indie films, man. Like I said, if we don't support it, then how do we expect others to? So, go out there. If you don't enjoy it, if you don't like it, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Not everything out there that I watch, I enjoy. I still sit and watch it and just move on.
Take risks. Take risks, watch things you might not be comfortable with, watch things you don't know much about. And I also think that when you do that, oftentimes you end up finding things that end up being your favorite movies. The things are weird things that you never would have imagined that you would love, and they end up being the thing that you latch onto. And I'm pretty sure you feel the same way, because you're still going to the cinema, that when a movie works for you in the theater, there's no greater feeling. It's magic. You get to separate yourself from your life. You get to check out another person's life. It's their empathy machines. You get to feel so much. So, check out indies. Check out Wolfman too.
Yeah, why not? We'll be there already. Sure. But yes, bro. But don't hang up yet, man. Everybody out there, of course. Once again, this is Spider Coming Soon podcast. Support indie films. Till next time.